Today on You're Buying a Home with Silas LIndenstein, we're talking about facing the fears of home buying. Hello, everybody, and welcome to You're Buying a Home with Silas LIndenstein. I am your host, Silas LIndenstein. Thank you so much for joining me today. My name is Silas LIndenstein. I am a real estate agent with Skyline Properties out here in Seattle, and this is episode number 18. Number 18, it's called Facing the Fears of Home Buying. And in this episode, we're going to get into what scares people the most. I asked some folks if they could share with me what scared them the most about home buying, and or whether they did it already or if they're going to do it in the future. What's the big fear they have? Because I want to address this. I think fear plays such a huge part of the first-time home buyer, so I thought that would be a great episode today. But just do a little house cleaning here before we get started. If this is your first time tuning in, my name is Silas LIndenstein. I am your host of this podcast. I am a real estate agent out in the Seattle, Washington area. But hey, even if you don't live in Seattle, this podcast is still for you. This podcast is all about empowering and educating home buyers across the nation. We do use different terms here in Washington than possibly you use in other states, but when working with a real estate professional, they can easily translate those to you. But when it comes down to it, buying a home is buying a home. The process is pretty much the same in every area, but again, you're going to check with your professional that you're working with and see to see if there are any changes. And if you are new to home buying in general, and you're enjoying a podcast, but you would like to get like something on paper to look at or on your screen, say, I do have an ebook, an e-guide it's called The Ultimate Guide to Buying a Home. It's a PDF, and I can send it out to you. You just have to email me at silas@silasgetsreal.com. Again, that is silas@silasgetsreal.com. Email me, say, hey, I'd love to get that book, Silas. Could you send it to me? Send me that guidebook, and I'd be more than happy to. The only thing I ask, could you tell me what city and state you're from? I like to track that stuff. So if you could tell me what city and state you're from, I will send you that guidebook. And let's say you're not in the Seattle, Washington area, and you're looking for a good real estate agent. I got the hookup. I got the hookup for you. If you email me, ask me for a referral, I am connected with agents all across the country in various different, Facebook groups or organizations. And there's a good chance that I know somebody in your area. And if I don't, I know of some, and I can weed them out to find one that I think is going to be a good fit for you. And that's a good way. Both you can support this program, get someone who's accountable, not just to you, but they want to get referred from me in the future. So they're going to do a good job for you. So do that. And of course, if you're in the Seattle area, give me an email, send me an email. Again, silas@silasgetsreal.com, or you can text me at 206-351-9230. All right. That's our house cleaning, and let's get to the show. Okay. So the fears of home buying. I was thinking about this a lot, and I was like, we need to take everything down from being a fear about it to like caution. Like you should have some caution. There should be some caution in approaching and buying a home, some things to think about, but sometimes people get crippled by fear, not just in home buying, in life. And I have currently been all about how can we get rid of this fear? I think it's just talking about it and going through the process and addressing some of these fears. So let me share some of them. Let's see. Marissa wrote to me, I'd love to own my own home as soon as I can afford it. I'm scared that I'd make the wrong decision and end up with a house and suddenly begins to fall apart and need a lot of repairs. Okay. I think this is pretty common. It's a pretty common fear, right? the wrong decision. I don't know. Like it's the right house finds you. It does. The wrong decision. I think if the big thing is you want to be able to lay out both on your own and with an agent, you want to lay out what the qualities you feel like you'll need. Is there an area that you need that you want? Is there one, acceptable? But I think if you don't want to, like, okay, like I'm in the Seattle area, and if you're like, I really want a house in Seattle, but I can only afford Tacoma, but I work in Seattle. Well, maybe I can make that 2-hour commute work. And you're like, and then you buy a home based off of a maybe. That's scary to me. But I mean, if you, I don't know why people think they're going to make a wrong decision. If a house feels right to you, the area feels right to you. I think if it comes into like, the house is going to fall apart. Now let's clear this up. Houses rarely just fall apart. Okay. Now you get an inspection done on a house and you'll get a good idea of things that need repair, need to be addressed. I do want to say, I don't want to lie to anybody. Like, you're going to spend some money on your house, regardless of the shape that it's in when you get it. And even if it was new construction, there are going to be things that pop up that you need to get repaired because you didn't take care of it early on enough, because you learn. It's a learning process. A rodent will get into something and then you'll have to clean that up. Or the water is running weird on some spot. You'll have to clean that up. A pipe, something will leak and you need to just replace a pipe or have someone replace it, or little things. There will be little things that happen, but you can pretty much tell when you walk into a house, like, this is going to fall apart on me, right? There's things like asbestos that you can suddenly end up having, which, you can look one year that it was made. And also you can get it tested before you buy it. If you want, get a little sample. But of course that's also like asbestos. If it's in your ceiling, that's common. A popcorn in the ceiling. If you have something from the 60s or 50s and there's popcorn on the ceiling, that might be asbestos. But it doesn't, if you just let it sit there, I'm not, by the way, I'm not a doctor, but what we've been told is as long as you're not cutting into it or drilling into it, if it's sitting there, it's fine. Like, it's when you disturb it or do remodels, that's what happens. But you can, if you're looking at the age of your water heater, age of your furnace, I mean, those are things that fall apart, right? I mean, I think I had a question here later, like the Money Pit. People talk about the Money Pit, that movie. Yeah, if you buy a 1901 house and you don't think things have been upgraded, then you might be walking into a money pit. But and the other thing, and if you start off with like a condo or something, condos are in pretty good condition. I mean, generally, those are people that don't have to do much work at all, because the condo takes care of everything. You just take care of your little interior. It's kind of funny when people freak out about condo stuff, because like it's pretty close to going into an apartment. You're just actually making, you're saving some money, building equity while you're there. But unless you're planning, money pits are when you plan to flip and things don't go as expected. But if you're just planning to go and live and update things slowly, it's not. Okay, let me get this. Next one. Ken asked a bunch of things. He was worried about a bunch of things. Take on a huge loan, confusing loan details, real estate lingo agents assume trust. Can I trust that agent is doing their job and giving good advice? And what am I taking on? Is the inspector going to find all this wrong stuff in the place? What surprises are in store for down the road? Oh, and the neighbors, what are they like? Oh my gosh. Yeah, that's a lot, huh? But yeah, okay. Loan details. People take that. It's a lot of documents you sign, so people get huge, but loans are pretty basic. You sign a lot of documents that agree, hey, here's how much you're going to pay, especially if it's a fixed rate loan, which most people do. Fixed rate loan, this will be the monthly payment, and this is who you pay it to. I mean, that's kind of it. Will it go up? Yeah, when property taxes go up, or you're short on escrow funds, little things. But for the most part, here's your book. Pay off of this book for the next 30 years. This is it. Loans are just like a rent, but that you're paying to rents or mortgages that you're paying for someone else's. Agents, yeah, finding an agent you can trust. I understand that. Can you trust the agent is doing their job well? It's hard. I guess you want to find a good relationship. You want to find someone you feel is knowledgeable, and will they work hard for you? Are they one of the money agents? Are they going through a ton of deals just because they just need to produce huge volumes, or are they taking their time with it? Are they giving you all the options? Ask them questions early on and see what kind of answers they're given. Hey, test them on stuff you actually know and see what they're giving. Good advice for an agent. I mean, confirm stuff. I would double check on things on your own until you see how much they're listening to you. That's advice I can give on that. I think because I do think you need to trust your agent, bottom line, like that you need to trust them with little things and how the process works and not get caught up in your own fears about it. It does probably come. I can see how to an outsider it can seem like we're extra casual about it because the process isn't as dreadful, I think, as people think it is going in. So for us, it's just there is just an element. Well, it's another transaction. We found you the house and we got offer accepted, and hey, there we go. I get tense just making sure people are really happy with. I don't want them settling just because of the price range. I want them to feel super comfortable once they're gonna, So you got to live in it. If they're super comfortable with that commute, the commute kills people more than anything, I think. So I want to make sure they're in the right place. They can handle that commute and be fine with it. But yeah, gotta trust them. So keep talking to agents until you find someone that you feel like I can trust this person. Is the inspector going to find all the stuff wrong with the place? I'll tell you this. No, they will not. They will miss things. They will misinterpret things. More often, I think they scare people of of what's wrong with it. They tell you, "Oh, that furnace, that water heater's about to go." Like, well, it's not about to go. It might go. Galvanized pipe. It's galvanized. You have to replace everything. Like, well, at once, really? Who has that much money? No, pipe leaks. You replace it, and you go down the road. You go down each pipe as it leaks and replace. They because they have liabilities. They won't catch everything though. Let's see. I had my first house. Roof was fine according to the inspector. Well, what he couldn't see was that the flashing wasn't actually done that well, and it started leaking down the chimney a little bit. So then we had to get that redone, and then there was the cost of fixing that versus just replacing the whole thing, which will need to get done eventually. I actually think the roof people kind of got us to lean into fixing the whole dang roof, and we shouldn't have. But that's neither here nor there. That wasn't the inspector. But I would count on them not seeing everything. But you get a good inspector, get a good referral for an inspector, and see the kind of things they look for, and what they did catch for people tell you what should be addressed and when you should talk to an expert. I think that they'll catch a lot of the stuff. Well, I wouldn't count on them catching everything, but look for what your big expenses are. What your big expenses are: a roof, having to fix a roof right away. Electrical, if it's shot to hell, they should be able to tell if there's a big problem. Biggest problem would be that it's an old electric, like tied to a new electric panel, that kind of thing. So they should be able to spot that stuff. What surprises are in store down the road? Who knows? I don't know. If you're living in an apartment or you're renting, you don't know what surprises are down the road. The person tells you, oh yeah, no, we're gonna be here. It'll be fine. Just we want nice, quiet renters. Then a year later, they're like, well, we're gonna sell the place. Well, we're gonna raise your rent $800. Like I don't. That's not fun to me. I don't like that. It's hard to know what's down the road for anybody. You know, like I think you have to, and so I think there's an element that you have to learn to be okay with down the road projects are going to happen. If you're not okay with anything, like, oh, some things are going to pop up or they might not. If you're not okay with that, maybe don't buy a house. Maybe look at a condo. Less surprises. But if you like, just I don't know. There's part of me that doesn't know how to address you're scared about what surprises are down the road. I mean, that's kind of life, right? Isn't that what we deal with in life? We don't know why get married? You don't know what surprises are down the road. And it's a house, right? It's not that, if you're comfortable getting married, you should be comfortable getting a house. Let me tell you that. And the neighbors, what are they like? Well, go meet them. Go knock on their door and meet them. Look over your fence. Look at what their backyard's like. You can learn a lot about them just by doing that. But yes, go meet them. You're going to live next to them anyway. Might as well meet them now before you even put an offer in. Just go to the neighbor and say, hi. I was thinking about trying to buy this house next door. Anything, what do you think? Did you hear about it? You'll find out who the nosy one is real quick. They're going to tell you because they'll tell you everything. Okay. So, let's see. Sherry wrote, I never thought I'd own my own home, so I never learned anything about it. Then having to trust a complete stranger with such large sums. Yikes. So, it's funny. People always think about it. It's such a large sum of money. It's so much that I'm in debt so much because I bought a house for $300,000. It's so much. It's over 30 years, right? How much do you spend? How much would you spend on rent over 30 years? It sounds like a large sum because now you have an alleged debt toward the person who holds the note, but it's how much you're paying anyway. Ken wrote, buying the wrong home or moving to the wrong neighborhood. If we should ever buy again, getting locked into a place, city, and deciding to move again within a short time frame. Okay, the wrong home, moving into the wrong neighborhood. Yeah, I think if you move to a new city, you should probably take like a year. It takes 6 months. Drive around, learn the neighborhood, see what fits you, right? Because blocks change. A place can change by the block. And you want to look to see what homes are coming up, what neighborhoods are coming up. So you want to catch it like on the wave. You want to be way ahead of the wave, right? You want to see, there's a lot of new properties, new flips are happening, and they've been heading this way. They've been heading south. So I'm going to buy one early on that's cheap before the reconstruction, the remodels get down here. I'm going to be in the middle of it, right? I will say getting locked into a place, city, and deciding to move in with a short time, I totally understand that fear. Now, in the Seattle market, it hasn't really mattered much. Like you bought a house and you could sell it a year later for $50,000 more, no problem, right? But I think that's one where you just have to look at your life. Like I can't tell you what your life is like, but I know plenty of people and they say, I don't know, what if I need to move? Like, look, dude, you are from Seattle. All your family's here, all your friends, your job is here. You said there's zero chance that your job is going to move, right? Like, what are the likelihood? Or if you have a dream of moving to Hollywood and you think like, I would do that anytime. I would do that a year from now. I do it from 5. I do it in 3 or 10. Then maybe not buy a house. Okay. If you really think that is now, I would say, well, then just move and rent it out. Because even if you rent it out at a loss, it's instant savings. If you have to pay still another $100 or $200 a month, until till later, then it's worth it. But if you do move, you can always rent it. I mean, that is a bottom line, even if it is a short amount of time, until enough equity is grown that you can sell it and be okay. Typically, I always tell people, if you're going to be there between 5 and 7 years, then you should. If you're going to be there between 5 and 7 years, then you're pretty kind of safe buying a home, right? For the most part. If you're going to be there that time frame, you'll be fine. You won't lose money when you go to sell it. So for folks who are like, I'm only going to be here 2 years, unless you want to pick up something where it's going to be a rental, like you're fine, like, it'll be a rental, then, find a good property that will be a great rental, like a nice 3-bed, 1-bath kind of home. Those make great rentals. Okay. Aaron wrote, getting stuck with a house we didn't really like because it was what we could afford, or being pushed into a house because the agent didn't want to work harder to find what we were looking for. She says, we ended up getting very lucky, but we had to be patient and switched agents a few times when they didn't want to wait for us to be 100% confident in the purchase. And I wrote, this is a great one. Never be pushed by an agent to buy a house. Okay. They're not living there. Do not take that from them. They're working on commission. Yeah. I will say, when I'm taking people out, if we're all over the place in both location and in price range, if we're going out to see some, then it means we're missing something on our filters. We're maybe need to narrow down what we're looking at, because should have a rough idea, right? And sometimes I show somebody a home. We go out one day, or we show one house, and they're like, I want to buy it. Sometimes we look for a few months, and that's just the nature of it. It's the nature of it, especially if you're controlled by income, or, you have to be on a bus route or some small item like that. Makes things a little more challenging. I get it. Stuck with a house we really didn't like, but it's what we could afford. Yeah. I think you just kind of wait, or you save up money while you're looking, because I think that here's the thing. If you do, if you are like, no, my kitchen has to be like this. I need a chef kitchen. I need an oversized fridge. My kitchen needs to be at least 800 square feet, right? One giant kitchen. On my budget, 200,000. Average price is 600,000 in your area. Doesn't matter. I still want a 200,000. That's just not being realistic, right? What you can afford. I think maybe you manage on. You kind of have to talk to yourself about whether you want to fix things, or you want to save some money, or one of those. Think forward. But if you're not, I always love showing folks that say that, I want a fixer, and then I show them to a fixer. I show them what a fixer is, and they're like, oh, we don't want a fixer. No, we don't want to do that. That is the best, because then we know, okay, so we're not looking at fixers. We're just going to look at a little higher quality, because that's what you want. So if it only means we're looking at one house on a weekend, I mean, so be it, right? But I just can't push people into this. Okay, let's see. Let's see. Amy said, this is a past client. She said, I don't know if you recall standing in the driveway of our house. We had just toured it and loved it, but it was so uncertain on whether we should make an offer or not. I was hemming and hawing, just thinking, what if there's something we don't like once we move in? What if we see a better house next week? What about the monthly payments? Can we really afford them? How can we just spend the down payment we spent years saving up? It's definitely hard to pull the trigger in the moment. I'm glad you and Charlie were there talking it over with me. Just made me realize it was the right house for us, and all the financials were in place, and okay really helped. Thankfully, we made an offer, and it was the best decision we made. I love the ending of that. And I think it's just something you hear time and time again, right? can we afford the monthly payments? Well, you know if you can. The lenders have told you. They know. Yeah, you need to decide if you want to keep spending money building those model trains, if that's going to cut into your budget or whatnot. But a lot of times, if you can afford the monthly payment, you may not want to. And yes, the savings you saved up. So let's say you saved up $20,000 for the first time because you want to be able to buy a home, and you just saved all this money, and now they want you to put it down on this house. But that's what you were saving for, right? So yeah, it stinks. I hate that every month. I've saved up money for the next mortgage, and then they want my mortgage money. Man, that bums me out. But that's what you're saving the money for. You can't take it with you, right? You're saving it to buy a house. So, what if something better comes along? Man, that's what everyone feels. People feel that about everything, right? You don't want to miss out. Major FOMO because you think you went too early. Well, guess what? That new house that came up, you might not have been able to afford it anyway. Or what if a deal comes up? Oh, you could have got that deal. But yeah, that is everything. Go buy a TV, and the next month a TV is going to be out there cheaper. You still like your TV, right? You're going to be happy with it. Like the what ifs can go everywhere. And mostly it's what, price market goes up for the most part. Yeah, you can buy at the height of the market. That is possible, and things go down. But if you aren't planning on going anywhere, you just ride it out, and eventually it's up again, right? It's how it goes. Unless you live in Detroit, then I'm sorry. But you know what? Even in Detroit, there's areas going up now, right? They've been so sad for so long, but there are parts going up. But you just kind of have to wait it out. What if there's something you don't like when you move in? But look, if you like it, the neighbors might play. They might play Beatles music and you can't stand it. But you'll adapt to it. If there's anything on the house you don't like, you can change it. You can save up to change it. Some people do like, you know what? I need a little extra job, just to save up a little money so I'm going to go work at Home Depot for a little bit. And then I'm going to change the carpet. I don't like the carpet in there and I want a different color and softer. And you do that, but you can change anything once you're in there. So yeah. So much of this comes down, the right price. This will be the last thing I talk because we're running late here. The right price and choosing the right spot. People are so scared. They want a deal, right? Everyone wants a deal. We know it's important because every time you tell someone, I bought a house or I bought a car, did you get a good deal? Everyone asks you, do you get a good deal on that? You get a good deal? Or you brag about it. I got a good deal. Everyone's like, I don't want to pay asking price. Sometimes asking price is good, man. Like sometimes you have to pay more than that. The right price is one, can you afford it? And it's up to you to really decide, am I willing to spend this much money a month? Does it bring in that much value to me each month? The right price is what cracks me up. Okay. Cause we're talking like every $10,000, the house goes. So a difference between a $500,000 house and a $510,000 house is like $70 a month. Right. Some people are like, oh, I don't know. We only got it at 500. We got it at 502. I really think it wasn't worth. It was about, shouldn't pay more than 500. Like $2,000. That's like $7 a month. You're gonna get bent up about $7 a month. Like don't worry so much about that. Like you can here's the problem. In America, people sell homes at certain dollar values, right? Countries like Australia will tell people, oh, we think it's in this price range. It's a $470 to $495 house. That's how shoppers shop. You look for a range, right? And so people need to change that to think about like, well, what's the area that this is worth? And that's a good price for that. It's in with this ballpark area. And I'm not talking about the homes that get 37 offers on them and they go $150,000 over asking price. Those are ridiculous. Something was wrong with it to begin with. They didn't price it right or something. I don't know. It's crazy. But the price, just, it's a couple thousand under or over. Oh, don't worry so much. And she's in the right spot. The neighborhood will become your right spot for the most part. Sometimes people go into places and they're like, man, I didn't know it was this far. You should have driven around a little more. I didn't know there was a dump 2 blocks over. You should have driven around. That's what I tell people all the time. Drive around that house like 8 blocks around. Just go up and down. Look at everything. I think you can get nice spots and you can get better spots, right? So where I am now, I've grown to like where I am now even more than when I first started. I really went for the school district, and then I've grown to be like, wow, it is so quiet over here. Here's the thing, you're not going to know exactly what your house is like, how loud it is and such. Like, you can make guesses by snooping, but it's going to take like months to realize, unfortunately. But that's the same as if you rented a place. That all happens. I think change is what everyone's scared of ultimately. Anyway, hey, this has been a longer podcast than I normally go, so I'm going to wrap it up here. That's the program. Thank you so much. I really loved walking over some of these fears with you all, and hearing from real people what they're scared about buying a home and or what they were. And hopefully you can relate to some of those, and hopefully I've said some stuff that leaves it. I think even just knowing other people have that fears is sometimes helpful. Anyway, my name is Silas LIndenstein with Skyline Properties in Seattle. Thank you so much for listening and tuning in. If you are a fan of this podcast, please go to iTunes or whatever platform you listen on. And if you could go give us a 5-star rating, and if you can share it with a friend. If you know someone else looking to buy a house, share this with a friend. If you know someone in Seattle looking to buy a home, have them text me at 206-351-9230 or email at silas@silasgetsreal.com, and we'll get started on that process. If you want our the ebook on how to buy a home, remember, just email me and I'll send it out to you, an email. Just tell me what city and state you're from so I know, so I can keep track on my little spreadsheet here on where I send things. And yeah, that's it. Thank you so much for listening. I love you guys. You're being wonderful and so supportive. Thank you so much. Happy house shopping.